about our amazing product that I'm certain you'll love. There are lots of companies out there who offer website and business tools, from the very cheap do-it-yourself to the very expensive bespoke products. What we offer at The Web Guys is a unique package that we're sure will cater to all your business's needs. We'll deliver a world-class website that's created specifically for you and your business and with everything you need to manage it. It's so simple. All you have to do is choose a look and we'll do everything else. We'll design, build, set up and customize your website for you. You'll get that agency quality product from £29.99 a month and with no upfront fees to pay. To take advantage of our fantastic product, go to www.thewebguys.co.uk and simply click the Sign Up Now button and follow the instructions, which will only take a few minutes of your valuable time. Once you're done, you'll get all this plus lots more, and from only £29.99 per month. So, what are you waiting for?
Morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm very good. How are you, Bart?
Very well, thank you. Just feeling well after a day of testing at Sanditon. So looking forward to getting back in the car on Monday. So it's a busy time of year for myself.
How did the test go?
Good. No, really well. I kept it on the track mostly, and the car was really fun to drive. We learnt lots, so it was a good test. We'll just have to see how everything is, of course, once we go racing.
How many laps did you manage to get in?
Good question. We actually didn't do a huge amount of laps because we were doing practice starts and things like that. So we just did a lap and come in and things like that. And it rained in the last session, so we didn't really go out because it wasn't really wet enough for wets or dry enough for slicks. So I can't think. I don't know. I haven't got a number, but I'd estimate something like probably 70 laps, something like that. So it's still pretty good, really. Yeah.
You're starting to feel comfortable in the car?
Yeah. I was thinking that actually yesterday. Now, even when the car's not quite there and it's moving around a bit, maybe the conditions aren't so good or the balance isn't quite there. It's just more comfortable in general. I feel like I can play around with it a bit more. I kind of know how to fettle it to make it do what I want it to do. So I'm definitely getting a lot more comfortable in the car because, like I think I've said to you before, even though it's still a British F3 car, each team is quite unique in how they go about looking after and setting up their cars. So it's still a learning experience, but I feel like it's I'm becoming more and more at home in the car every time I go out.
Nice. It's nice. That's what you want, isn't it? That's good. Instead of you feeling you're sitting fighting with it all the time. Precisely. You've got to be, especially in a race scenario, on a race weekend, it's got to be just almost not asleep, but relaxing and not having to worry about that kind of stuff, so you can focus on your own driving rather than worrying about what the car's going to do next. Yeah, no, that's great. Sounds great. It's nice to see that things are moving forward. Yeah,
thanks, Brian. It's good from my side too to see everything's going forward at a really good pace. So like I said, be interesting to see where things are come end of May.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting. We can't wait. It's going to be well next to see it. So
it'll be great to have people down and so with crowds and everything as well. From next week, we're going to be able to get people into the track for testing and things like that. So, it's getting better all the time, and I'm starting to feel more and more like racing again.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see some level of normality, whatever that is these days.
Yeah, exactly. A bit nostalgic for it at this point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think it's appropriate to say, well, good morning and welcome to everyone who's joining us on this live feed. Obviously, we're having a bit of a chat again. We've done before, but before we did it, they were recorded interviews, really, weren't they, Bart? And this time we're venturing into the live world of live streaming. So if someone joins us who has a question, I think use the comments box, and we'll do our best to answer them. And let's have a chat and see where we end up, really.
Yeah, keep it on track mostly, and I'm sure we'll pick up some interesting points. I mean, I think the main focus, as we initially discussed, is I think last time it was more you asking me questions about my career and what I've done and things like that, whereas now it's more labeled as a discussion or a chat, really, a bit more back and forth. But I think this time focusing more around the sponsorship side of the sport and the business aspect, and how businesses can get involved, and seeing not only from my point of view what goes on, but obviously yours as somebody who's had their business exposed through motorsport and even through sim racing now more recently, and just trying to get an idea of your experiences and your thoughts and things like that. Because from my point of view, I see and hear stuff, but unfortunately, especially with the COVID world, we don't get that same dialogue or discussion where we can just have a chat about your thoughts. So for me, it's going to be an educational experience, I think, getting some of your input.
It's an interesting balance, because obviously getting involved with you and the team around you has been a new thing for us as well. We've never really had much experience and exposure into the motor racing world. I was quite green in the whole motorsport.
Yeah.
One of my very good friends, as you know, Arve, he's what you would call a petrol head, and he loves his motorsport. So he's always been harping on about motorsports and all that kind of stuff. And I've never really, until I met you guys and got involved with you, been that sort of big on it. I've been watching the odd Formula One races as you do, as I'm sure most people. So I was quite new to it coming into it. So my initial expectations were probably not huge. And I think, that's probably a good thing, because like any new things, is all about learning. It's a learning curve, isn't it? And I must admit, I've been very surprised. Well, surprised is probably the wrong word, because I obviously knew it was going to be powerful, because there's a reason why people are spending, thousands, millions, sponsoring in motorsport. It's obviously because it works, because if it didn't work, no one would do it. There's only so much. There's only so far passion will take you, and hobbies. If at the end of the day, a business is a business, and businesses needs to make money. So if they don't make money, it's philanthropy, isn't it? So
exactly.
So I'll admit I've been surprised and pleasantly surprised.
That's good.
How good it is. I think one of the things that's actually surprised me the most, it's not so much the business we've gained from it. It's more for being involved. It's more, I don't know if this is, again, credit to you or unique to you and the people around you, but I've been quite impressed with the level of access that you allow people into you. I think that's a fantastic thing. I probably question whether you'll be able to sustain it, once, because I have no doubt you will become very successful in the top tiers of motor racing. So, if you can sustain even a small level of the access that you allow people now, when you do become far more successful than what you are now, then I think that's going to be blowing people's mind, really, because you do allow a great deal of access and allow people to get very close to you, which is not common.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Brian, first for the kind words, but it's definitely something I think that's really important from my perspective. Is there's no point someone getting involved in motorsport for whatever reason and in whatever way, especially if they're supporting me, and without getting a bit more contact, or at least a close-up experience. It needs to be personalized. They need to feel like they're connected to what's going on, and I have to have that ability to show them this is what I do, and get a better, because it's a sport where there's a huge disconnect between the general public perspective and then what actually goes on behind the scenes, as you've seen, Brian, and hopefully we can get an even more access, if anything, this coming year, a lot more than last year, certainly, So it should only really get better from that standpoint. But I think it is one of the most important things that we offer is that kind of unique experience within the sport, because like I said, it's a sport where the general perception, even from fans, like big fans, is quite skewed versus reality, I think. And I understand that as a driver, because I came in and I was surprised by what I saw and how things run. And the teams are very secretive for the most part, and there's a lot of private information and things like that. So unless you can actually get inside the team and get an idea of what's going on, you never really know what's happening. So I think it's fantastic that we have the ability to go and share that with people.
And I think credit to you for having that view and that attitude. I think that's fantastic. And I think as sponsors come along with you, I think that's going to be one of the things that they're going to be very pleasantly surprised, because I know that in the packages that you offer, you do describe what level of access you're willing to give them, but there's one thing in seeing that on a piece of paper or on a screen and then actually seeing it is two different things altogether. Yeah. And I think I would say to anyone who's considering coming on board, please, you will get a lot more access than what you actually realize, and that's fantastic, because at the end of the day, lots of people who do get into sponsoring you or any other race driver for that matter, there's going to be obviously a commercial aspect to it, but there's going to be a personal interest for most as well. So for anyone who is a bit of a petrol head to be able to go and actually stand next to you talking to you about the car you're driving is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
So
I do feel like, I think as you were alluding to earlier, there was, even for myself, a bit of surprise in terms of what can be offered in the sport, because I think initially I was a bit skeptical about offering any kind of what we can offer to people who are willing to get on board. I thought it was originally quite limited, but really the strength of the sport is the lack of limitations, or the lack of what's been explored. I think, as we've found out, we've been talking about a lot of different possibilities. So I feel like motorsport's actually a fantastic arena for advertising, and has kind of had to rebuild itself from the more, I guess, the era where it was mainly fuel, tire sponsors, tobacco sponsors, things like that. And it's kind of had to rebuild itself in the last few years and target new areas of, new financial areas and industries that they weren't targeting before. And I think in general, just a broader spectrum of sponsorship and engagement from fans and people who want to get involved. And it's been interesting for me to see just what we can actually offer people, because there is a lot that I think, and you've again told me this, take for granted at a racetrack, at a race weekend, because I see it week in, week out, that it's something that people might give their right leg for, to come and see that just for one day. So I think there's a lot to explore and a lot to offer that hasn't necessarily been put out there yet. And that's what we're trying to do. I feel like we're getting better at it all the time, and it's something I'm trying to get better at personally, is understanding what we can actually offer to people, and how we can help them build their brand, and also maybe make some memories along the way. So yeah,
that's fantastic. I think from my point of view as well, it's a fine line as well, because I completely agree with you. There's when I went down first time I saw your race, Silverstone, wasn't it?
Silverstone, yeah.
It's a huge place. It's a huge area. There's a vast amount of people there. The race place where you have your car with the tent and the bus and all that kind of stuff. It's big. It's vast. There's untapped amount of opportunities for sponsors to get their banners and flyers and all sorts of stuff. And there's literally thousands of people walking by. So there's no doubt that the opportunities are there, and they're there to be picked up. So I think one of the things for me is I'm always trying to be conscious on not trying to bother you too much, especially when you're sort of in your sort of racing mode, because at the end of the day, we're here to support and sponsor and help and offer guidance if we can in some areas, but we also don't want to disturb you too much, because you need to race.
Yeah, I know. That's a balance for myself, really. That's something, again, I've been trying to improve, is that time management's a big thing. I think for any person who's competing in elite sport, especially for a racing driver at a racetrack, there's a lot of responsibilities and things you need to get done that people again don't see. You think there's a lot of time, but really I don't think we get a huge amount of rest on a race day, because there's different, like I said, just responsibilities and things you need to do. But like I said, I think I definitely believe I'm getting better at it, and I think last year's situation did make it tricky, but I always want to try and give that time to people who come along, and even to just the fan walking by as well.
Yeah, I just to let the world know, obviously I've been to see Bart race a number of times now, and I can honestly say every time, we've a race day is a long day. There's a couple of races during a day, and every time that I've been to a race, Bart has actually taken time to walk across from the paddocks into where we were to spend time with us, amongst us between races. And I can honestly say that is not something I would have ever expected you to do, Bart, because I think I would have very much expected you to just kept your wherever you need to sit and relax between races and stuff. But the fact that you came across, you sat down with us and had a cup of coffee and spoke to us, and what happened in the first race, we went through a few technical geeky stuff details, and I was blown away by that, because I honestly didn't expect that. And I think anyone who sponsors and comes along would probably not have expected that the guys performing on attack would then come and see them between races type thing.
I mean, again, thanks, Brian, because that's useful for me to know, and obviously really kind of you to say. But again, I feel like it's something that is necessary to a larger extent. It has to be a personal thing, and like I said, it should only get better, because getting people, I just want to. People need to be next to the car for me. Hearing it, seeing it, seeing what I do. So this year, with things opening up again, it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for that. And
now, obviously, I've been to two different tracks too. I went to Donington and we went to Silverstone. Silverstone was a fantastic setup, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where everyone could sort of walk by the team buses and all that kind of stuff. That was quite special, I found, in terms of being able to get close to the real deal, to the action type thing. So I thought that was a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, obviously, it was a big advantage. But no, Silverstone's a great facility, and there's a lot of things that offer there. There's a reason why it's an F1 track, and they use it for Formula One events and Rallycross and Endurance Championship and things like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there. And, Brian, I was interested to hear from you, just to get a bit more background from your side of things. You said, you weren't a petrol head like Arve, and you didn't come into it the same way. So from my perspective, I really want to hear how, if you had any sort of attachment or connection through motorsport before 2 years ago, what was that like? And, what was the interest from your point of view to getting involved? Because obviously we first met at Arden. So there's obviously a side of the story that, a lot of people, myself included, haven't really heard about just how you came to be involved with motorsport, an arena that you had previously no connection with.
It's a very good question, and it's an interesting question as well. Pre-meeting you guys, my interest in motorsport was really very limited, and I'll be completely honest with you in that. I can't 100% remember, but I was definitely introduced to you guys by Jamie Horner from. And I was introduced to Jamie from another business associate of mine, to Jamie Horner, who invited me down to Arden to have a chat about how I, as a business, could help Arden and the racers that they were supporting, and you were obviously amongst those people. So my initial interest in motorsport, or coming into it, was purely from a business side of me helping and supporting Arden from a web perspective and the races. Now, it's obviously evolved quite quickly from there, because I met up with your mum and dad and yourself, and we quite quickly sort of strung up a connection, I think, and we've worked together ever since. And I'm very much a kind of guy where I'm very much more my interest. I'll make no secret of it. I'm a football guy.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of them things. Even with football, I support one team. Other teams, I can watch them, but I sort of need to put a little bet on them to have an interest in the other team type thing.
Yeah,
type thing. So, not that the same with you at all, because my interest with you now is purely because I'm you know my feelings toward you and your family and all that other stuff that you do. So it's a very different thing. But I'm very much one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
I like to have a little bit of skin in the game type thing for me to have the real strong interest type thing. So I think the fact that it makes sense from a business point of view as well, it's just an added bonus, which then makes me even more interested. Because honestly, before I met you, I would never have watched a Formula 3 race. Yeah, but when I see something now pop up on my phone or iPad or on the telly, then I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And that has been evolved and grown because of my involvement with you. That was never there before.
Yeah. So the first time down to a racetrack for you was the Silverstone race.
Arvid took me to a MotoGP.
Right.
I can't. What's the name again? He's going to kill me for not remembering. It was out. Yeah, it's a very famous because it's got a hill you come up and the bikes they fly over the hump.
What country?
Here in the UK. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. The track. It'll come to me, but it's a very famous track. It's out in Lincolnshire. It's out Market Racing way.
Oh, Cadwell Park.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arvid took me there to watch MotoGP, and I'll admit I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic day. But other than that, when I came down to Silverstone, that was my first proper single seat racing event, and watching you fly around the track then F4.
Yeah, so quite a big jump from not being too interested or coming from, like you said, a business point of view, and then having that. Just coming straight into one of the biggest F4 events of the year, a British touring car round, no less, is quite an experience. So, yeah, from your side of things, how did you find coming along to the race on that day specifically?
I was. It's one of them things where you turn up not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
And I was completely taken aback, blown away with the whole day. I thought that the first thing that really struck me was the fact that everyone could just walk in through all, where the team buses were and all the cars and all the people. The fact that we could just walk in and just basically have a look at whatever we felt like having a look at.
Yeah.
I never expected that. That really took me by surprise, in a really good way. I was taken back. We went up and we stood in, I can't remember what one or two, where we stood watching you, and I could not believe the speed you were driving through those corners. I was just gobsmacked, because let's be honest, those cars, then they're just little rockets.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not huge, are they? They're not. They don't look menacing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I was very much taken aback by how fast you actually go around those corners, and I thought, my God, you're either brave or stupid.
A bit of both, I think.
So I think I gained a lot of respect for you guys, actually. Not that I didn't have respect before, but the fact that you spend the day mixing with people who mill around, talking to people, and then you sort of lock yourself away for half an hour, get your head in the right space, and then bomb down. I thought, that's not for everyone. It's not everyone who has the mental strength to actually do that. So I think I walked away with quite a lot of respect for that. And then I can't remember, there was a few different type of racing going on that day.
Yeah.
And we were sat on the main stand, me and I were watching one of them. It might have been the British touring car. I couldn't believe how annoying the noise were on those cars. There was one particular set of cars, I didn't like the noise at all. They just irritated me. But the single-seater ones, I thought, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. So I probably caught the bug a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. Maybe, I mean, coming in and like out of nowhere really to motorsport, and then obviously enjoying it it's interesting for me, for someone who's always grown up wanting to be a part of it, and to hear from somebody who's been not really had any connection to it, and then all of a sudden coming from an outsider's point of view more than anything, and then finding that interest and certainly finding that similar connection, whatever it is, to the sport, because it is a weird one in how it operates as a business and a sport, and all of that. And like you were saying, the great thing about the British Touring Car, or even the British GT weekends, which we now support in the F3 category, you can just walk. Well, if there's no COVID, you can just walk straight past all the teams, all the categories, see what's going on, see the drivers, things like that, and see how they're operating. So it's a fantastic level of access, and that's a big reason. People like going to these events compared to something like Formula One, where it's all very closed off and it's a lot harder to get this kind of access. You only get a grandstand ticket and you get to see from afar. But if you come down to see these events, you do get that up close and personal experience, and like I said, seeing what the teams and drivers are doing. And I remember when we were racing in British F4, you had to be really careful driving to the dummy grid, or driving back from Park from A, which is the scrutineering area post race, where they check that you're not cheating or anything like that. You have to be careful not to run over people, especially in the wet when you couldn't see so well, because the visibility in these cars, as you would have seen, Brian, is really low down. You can't see very well, especially with a helmet on.
Yeah.
And it is actually quite hard sometimes to avoid all these people walking all over the place, and there's lots of people trying to take photos and videos of you, and it's a fantastic atmosphere. And that's why I've always been a bit upset by what happened last year, and that kind of taking away that year of racing for a lot of people, because I really feel like it's more than just an addition; it's a part of the sport.
Yeah.
And I feel like motorsport was really lacking for it.
Yeah,
So
no, I get that completely, and I think I can definitely see, if you're used to having that if it's not there, it's definitely missing from your day. I get that completely, and I think for people who isn't used to being in and around motorsport or sponsoring in it, I think I spent my entire life loving football and been in and around football clubs and football players at all different kinds of levels, and I can tell you right now, you do not get this kind of access to footballers that you get to race drivers. You really don't. There's probably many different reasons for that, but I've it's definitely unheard of in the world of that sport, the racing world. So I can see how people really buy into that and how people get drawn into it, because how can you not enjoy that? If you love motorsport, you can go and you can actually go and chat to the guys who are sitting doing the race. I couldn't go and speak to a footballer before, during, and after a game. It's very hard to get hold of those guys to speak to them. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's, again, I think it comes with being an independent or individual sport, is that personality and that person being in control. Yes, we're part of it. It is still a team sport very much, and I think that is actually taken for granted a lot as well, how important the team is and the people around you, just because the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. But because the driver is so much more in control than I think a player in a bigger team, it does make a bigger difference. And like you said, the access, it's fantastic for, I didn't know that it was that difficult to get the kind of access to footballers. So it's a great thing that motorsport it's different. It's very different. I think it's a unique opportunity, but I think it's all the better for it. And it has a lot to offer that you can't get elsewhere, as a platform for marketing, and then also as a kind of your own passion and just getting involved and seeing what's going on from seeing a professional, truly professional, I believe, at British F3 level especially, sport, and seeing some of the best young drivers in the world going up against each other in fantastic machinery. So it's a fantastic opportunity.
It really is. It really is. And for anyone who watches this, who are interested perhaps joining and becoming a sponsor, that part of it, absolutely fantastic. And I will be happy to say on record as well, is that it has given us business, so it works from that side of things as well. And, we've got business from the exposure, and we have also got business thanks to you, Bart. So, it's really worked all the way around for us. So it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, and something else I think I wanted to touch on as well is obviously what you do as a business, the web guys, helping people build, run their own websites. And I think it's something that's taken for granted a bit. You probably know better than me, but I feel like it's something that people assume is quite easy, quite cheap, quite accessible, but has a lot of pitfalls and problems that perhaps people don't realize. And we certainly have seen that with other people, and people I'd put you in touch with to sort these kind of problems out, and how having the web guys and you and John there to support us makes a massive difference to the running of the website. And as a result, because it's not just the website in isolation, it's how that affects your social media and your general presence online and everything you do. So I think it's again, something you take for granted and you just leave it on its own, but really it's part of a bigger picture, and it all circulates around your website. And like we were doing the blogs and things like that, it makes a huge difference to me. It's part of me online, and it's what people get to see, and it's so important that that's done right and it's done cleanly. And now we're able to do stuff like sell merchandise like the shirt I'm wearing and things like that. I think it's a lot more complicated than meets the eye, and I can say personally, it's been fantastic having you there, because I think me and my family would have had a lot more issues with doing what we wanted to do without you, because the website it's not as simple as people see, and it has a lot of value that isn't initially perceived. And at the end of the day, the website can be that kind of crucial, that crux almost for your livelihood in some cases in this online world that we're starting to get into, especially in a COVID scenario. So it's certainly a big part of what I do, and it's affected a large part of what we've been trying to do in our search for further commercial opportunities and sponsorship. So I just like to thank you, Brian, and 100% say that everyone I've spoken to that's worked with you, and obviously my own experience has been only positive. And it's been fantastic for me, and a sense of pride, I guess I could say, in when I look at my website. I've no problems. I'm never worried about what's going on there. I know it's good and it's working and it looks great. So thank you.
No, it's honestly, it's a pleasure. And I think you're touching on a few points there. The website is the foundation of your marketing, is a foundation of branding. It's your showcase where you show the world, this is me, this is who I am, and the opportunities I can give to you, as an elite sportsman type thing. It's where you sell your merchandise. It's important stuff, and you build your brand from there, So, we're lucky. We're playing a small part in your overall success, and we love to do that. So we're very proud of your website as well, So it's a great one for us to be associated with, because it's a cracking website. You and your team around you are really good at keeping it up to date. Unfortunately, a lot of people neglect their websites. You're reaping the benefits from it because you're not. So So it's a combination, and like I say with most people who I come across, is that it's partnership. It's about working together. It's about joining the things together, and then
it's a mutual relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And the closer that mutual relationship can be, the better it's going to work for everyone. So, and I think that goes for the sponsor part as well. And I think that's why it works so well with you, is because it really feels like it's a mutual relationship. It's not just someone parking a bunch of money and then wait and see. There's actually stuff going on, and interactiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I as I was saying earlier, the personal side of things, getting people down to the track is a big thing for me. But more than anything, it's not just, obviously not take the money and run, but it's making sure that the people get their value's worth, and whatever they can or want, however much they want to support me, or in what way we can figure something out that's right for them, bespoke, if you will, and make it so it's maximizing the benefits for themselves and their business at the cost that they're looking for, and that they're getting something out of it, because there's no point for it to exist if there's no real gain there, right? So for me, it's been, again, something I'm learning at. I'm getting better. But for me, it's been a evolving area of interest is that sales point of view, and as well as the relationship building with people to understand what they need, what they want, and what we can do. And I don't, as I was saying again earlier, was I sometimes don't know what I can offer. I'm learning all the time. I can offer this and that and that and that. And it's growing all the time. It's always changing. And so it feels like there's only more that I can give. And I'm always making sure that there's something else there for people, because I don't want people just to walk away and have a negative experience from it. I want them to gain something out of it. Truthfully, I do. And I want for, people to have something better down the road, something to look forward to, and it's something greater really to get out of it.
And I think that's very important what you're saying right there, because of that attitude that you're talking about right there. That is why it's going to work. That's why people are going to connect. That's why they're going to benefit, because you care.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah, you care, and that shines through. And that's why Bart the guy and Bart the brand are melted together, and people are going to buy into that and really enjoy being part of it, just like we really are enjoying being part of it. So yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah. That's good. That hopefully we can, like I said, this year a lot more stuff becomes possible, and we can continue to find new ways to benefit each other, really. And I'm sure we will. But,
I'm sure that happen, no doubt.
Something I thought that was worth touching on for both of us really is the sim racing, or specifically how sim racing has become more popular and more viewed as a form of esports, and mix between a tool for driver training, a business for people making money as drivers, teams, engineers, software, lots of stuff like that, and then just the overall broadcasting and competing against motorsport as an actual form of entertainment. And I thought it was a fantastic thing to bring up really in this conversation, because it's something that we both had links with. I've been having the Web Guys logo on the car, and it's been an opportunity where I've been able to actually speak out about the work you guys do, and present that to other people as well. So I was curious more than anything to see your thoughts on it and how you found it more than anything, because it's very different from real motorsport. And I think yes, it misses some of it hasn't got, I think it's got a different charm. I feel like it's a different sport. It's got similarities, but it's very much a different kind of opportunity for people, and it's got its own unique charms and things that people will be interested in, that are different from the traditional forms of motorsport and the type of opportunities that will offer.
Absolutely. Again, for me, brand new world once again. Never this whole sort of online gaming. I've never been a big gamer really, so this whole online world in terms of esports, very new to me until this winter really, where you've introduced me into it. And again, very much sort of same kind of experience as when I first came down to Silverstone. When I first saw the first stream that you were doing, I can't even remember who it was you were racing for on the e-stream, but I just couldn't believe the quality of the stream. How realistic it actually felt and sounded, and that added with the fact that you can hear you make comments, or bloody hell, that didn't go too well, and all that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff. It's really cool. I found myself on a number of occasions sitting watching it on my iPad, and the wife said, "What are you watching?" Completely submersed into this thing, and I can definitely see why people are raving about it and why people are saying that there's a big future there. It's definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it's it's a space where, like I say, it's an opportunity for I feel like different kinds of business, or different business opportunities, because it's very different kind of connotations, I guess, about motor racing in the real world and the industry that's involved with, and then the esports side thing is much more a software tech kind of that's where the industries that it's more focusing on. And you got people like Fanatec who make wheels and pedals and things like that have done massively well as a business, as well as a lot of other brands as well in the last year since the explosion of I feel like the competitive side of things, and then also real drivers being drawn into doing it more because they see it not only as a place for exposure. I think for someone like me, it's a fantastic place where I can put myself up against drivers who I'm not really not at the same level at, is probably not the right way to say it, but people who are further on in their careers or just in different places, and a great way for me to kind of test my mettle and just get my name out there, as it were. But it's also a way for sharpening driver skills, and also an opportunity to make some money, and more than anything keep your presence alive, and
Absolutely.
that offer more new business opportunities.
One thing I found really quite interesting, because obviously it's an online medium, it's a digital medium,
Yeah.
and that obviously plays really well into our hand, being website people. And what I found really interesting was, obviously there's a big scope for me to be associated with you, and you would then perhaps connect, subscribe to my stuff, and therefore my stuff gets out to a far bigger audience because I can tap into your audience type thing. So I think there's an enormous scope there for virtually in any sort of industry to come board and be part of that, because there's such a huge audience. And I know Twitch is a big medium inside of the esport type thing. So, but certainly if you can start hooking up your YouTube channels and that kind of stuff, and connect people through there, the sharing of audience is the potential there as a sponsor, and being involved is quite significant.
Yeah,
absolutely. I saw that straight away. I thought, there's a big audience here, and it's a captive audience as well, isn't it? They're right there. They're in it.
Yeah.
So no, I can definitely see that space from your side. As you say, keep your hand in off season, and then from the people who are following you as well. 100%. Yeah, you're sat in your sim right now, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. This is it's kind of only right that I bring it up. I've got my my wheel here and my Sparko seat all looking pretty serious, but it's for me it's been a place where in some ways I can relax in. It's a bit weird to say, but do some driving without that same real life pressure, or I guess intent almost. So it's not the same kind of stress. I can kind of zone out a bit, but then also very serious competition, I've been able to train up and practice what I want to do, what I want to do in real life, and make mistakes on the sim that I don't then need to make in the real car when maybe the mistake costs a bit more money, or has a bit more the consequences of that are a bit more dire. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to make those mistakes, and also I've found it's a great opportunity to meet new people. I've met fantastic, brilliant people, drivers, engineers, just people passionate about motorsport through competing online, and it's been a good way to just socialize, I guess, as well. And in the COVID space, it's been probably the most new people I've met has been through this arena, and being able to talk to people about all sorts of things and share that passion for the sport. And that's where I think it has that connection to the real thing, is that people didn't come into sim racing through video games. Generally they came through motorsports because they're a motorsport fan. Maybe they can't afford to race in real life. Maybe they're a real driver wanting to practice or improve their skills. For whatever reason, these people came because they love motorsport, and it's a place where people can always 24 hours, 7 days a week come together and live out their dream. It's like how tomorrow we're doing the Sebring 12-hour on iRacing, and there will be I don't know how many people, but when the last big, they call it the iRacing special event was held, the Daytona 24 hours, that had something like 2,000 teams in it or something like that. So, and each team having 3-4 drivers in it. So the amount of people involved was massive, and then the amount of people watching that, the audience would have been huge. 50, probably a cumulative over 100,000 people on various different streams. So it's a fantastic place because we get to yes, it isn't the real Sebring 12 hours or the real Daytona 24 hours, but you can kind of live that on the sim with a team of people, with your friends, and I think that's why I really love it. Not only as a level of competition, but as a way to kind of make experiences come true, because it does feel. It doesn't feel 100% real, but it feels. It certainly is a real experience to you. It's not the same as driving the car on the track in real life, but it's still, to me, it's important, and you do feel that same pressure when you're driving, and you still feel the same pride when you win. So it's in every way, to me, it is a form of motorsport. It's different and it has its quirks, but it's fully deserving of existing and being promoted as a huge platform.
Yeah, I get it completely. I know obviously you're much younger generation than me.
Yeah.
So it appeals obviously a lot more to it's a more normal thing, I suppose, for people of your generation than it probably is for people me and older than me. But once I've been in there, once I've seen it, I get it. I do get it. I get it. I get why you get the audience as well. It's I can't fault it. I think the internet is a wonderful thing, isn't it? You turn it, you watch a bit, then you lay it down, you pick it back up again. It's fantastic, isn't it? So yeah, no, hey, I'm all in. I get it.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in finding out more about that, I just posted a blog this week on the website that is helped or managed with the assistance of Brian and John at the Web Guys. So yeah, if you're interested, go check out the website barthorsten.com /blog, and there's some more stuff there on sim racing and how it's altered a lot in 12 months, and how for me it's gone from being something I've always enjoyed as a kid and kind of looked into but never taken seriously, and then the last especially 3-4 months really put the hammer down, as it were, and treated it almost like I would the real racetrack, and what opportunities have come as a result of that, and how fantastic it's been for me as not a separate path but an adjoining path in my career. So yeah,
no, it's fantastic. Definitely from an outsider's perspective, seeing where you were at the start of winter, really, or autumn last year, to where you are now in terms of the esports stuff, it's leaps and bounds, isn't it? You're really taking it too, and you're doing fantastically well. So
yeah.
Great credit. Again, you put in the effort, you reap the rewards, and you're doing exactly that. So it's fantastic stuff. And I can only say again what Bart just said. For anyone who wants to talk about sponsorships, please feel free. If you want to give me a call and ask me about what it's like to be a part of the team with Bart, and be involved with it, please feel free to contact me. On all my social media channels, I'm happy to talk to anyone about my experience, being part of the Bart Horsten Racing adventure, I call it, because it really is, it's good stuff. Obviously, on his website, there's the partnership and sponsorship page where you can go in and read everything about it. Again, if you want to speak to someone about it who's in it, on this side of the table, please contact me at any time. I'm happy to speak to anyone, and I can only endorse what a great thing it is and how much fun we have with it, because it really is a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, but that's great. Nothing comes from nothing, so we love that.
Precisely. Yeah, no, thank you, Brian. Again, it's fun. I can't, I wouldn't be able to do this without people like yourself. So for me, it's humbling and also extremely encouraging to hear things like that. And for me, it's important to understand that you're getting out of it what you need to get out of it, and that you're willing to go and share that with other people is fantastic from my point of view.
All we need now is for you to go out and win the Formula 3.
Yeah, easy enough, right? I guess all said and done, I just got to go and do all the hard parts done. Just put it on first and then drive away. So that's the goal. That's the goal.
Of course it is.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this season, being able to get you down. We'll be able to get people, like I said, up and close in the pits, even for test days. Have a talk about what I'm doing, get an idea really of what goes on with the team, the amount of preparation that goes on, specifically on the cars themselves, as you've seen before, Brian, because there's a huge amount of people working on that, and then organizing new tires and things like that, and making sure all the systems are running on the car, because there is a lot of sensors and similar, on the car to give us information about how we need to improve when we're driving around and all that. And then there's also the spectator experience, getting to watch the cars and in the racing, see the start of the race and the sound. It's quite a visceral experience, I always find. I as a fan love being near. If I went down to the track and I wasn't driving, I'd 100% just go and stand around the cars, go ask people about their cars if they're interesting, and talk to drivers and things like that. And it is like I said, really different sport, but it's one where you shouldn't be afraid to, dip your feet in a bit and see what's going on, because there's a lot of different things we can do this season, and there's a lot of, like I said, great opportunities to be spread around for exposure, whether that be on social media and more on the sim racing side, things like we've done with you, Brian, and on the website, which is, obviously a really a strong platform that's been growing recently with things like the blog. And then we've also got just opportunities in general in more traditional sense on the car, on the suit, on the helmet. Looking forward to sorting things out with the helmet for this season, and perhaps changing the design a bit. So it's, a lot of work from our side, but really looking forward more than anything to getting racing and getting all of these things that we're working on, and seeing it come together for me is going to be fantastic. It's hard work at the moment, but I can see some flickering light at the end of the tunnel in a few months' time, where everything looks a lot better than it does now. And it all feels a bit like a mess, but it's all starting to align a bit. So, it's been fantastic for myself. And obviously having someone like you supporting what I'm saying, what I'm doing on the track and off the track is fantastic. And that's where, motorsport, like I said, is different. It's not just the on-track racing that goes on. It's all the stuff that's going behind the scenes with the amount of work we do as drivers. I can promise you there's a lot of time spent physically training and mentally training and all sorts of things that we touched on when we spoke previously. But something I wanted to ask you, Brian, was your opinion in terms of why you spoke about obviously your first experience at the track, real experience at the track when you came down to Silverstone to see me racing British F4. But one thing, why do you think motorsport, from an outsider's point of view, has been able to do what it's doing in terms of from a branding point of view? And what is the draw for not only for yourself but for other people when you were at the track last season, seeing the cars go around? And what is it that makes people fall in love with this sport? Because for me, I'm interested to know what it's like coming in again from an outsider's point of view, and why you're attached to it enough, not just to watch stuff that I'm in, but a general interest in the sport. Like Formula One, I'm sure as you know, Formula One is starting up this weekend, and it's an exciting time for a lot of people because we're interested to see what's going to happen. And then we've got F2 and FI F3 as well, and British F3 and British GT and things starting to come up in the near future.
I think it's definitely this whole connection there is, because it's a very connected sport, isn't it? Where because you have this really quite extraordinary level of access that you have before and in between the races, and then you sort of walk away from that, and then you see the race itself, makes you feel very connected to the whole thing. It's very hard not to actually become very enthused and engrossed into it, because it's the whole thing. I have a season ticket for my football. It's very much you turn up 15 minutes before the game is on, you have a halftime where you have a chat with all your mates around, and then the game is over and you walk home again. That's great as well, but it's very much on. Whilst the football is on, you're connected, you're part of it.
Yeah.
But with motorsports, it's a lot more. It's a whole thing. It's a whole day. Yeah. It's a whole event. Yeah. I don't know. What did we turn up at Silverstone? Was it about 10 or 11? And we didn't go home again until about, 4 o'clock, 4:30?
Yeah.
And you're involved the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's much more involved, and you sort of get this whole sort of sense of being a part of a thing that sort of is greater than just 25 laps around the track type thing. So I think that's a fantastic thing, and that for me has been a big difference in making me from not really being that much of a petrol head to right now, I'm watching you racing and I'm watching whatever sort of comes across me type thing, which I've never done before. And that is because I've had this experience of this whole emerging experience all day type thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's a bit like we alluded to before. I think if you watch, say, a Formula One race, or even you can watch the British F3 races, which are going to be broadcast on YouTube, watching that on TV is very similar to watching a football match on TV, where it's only that amount of time you're connected for. Sure, there's a pre-race and a post-race show if you really want it, but there's not really a huge addition there for the general fan, I would say. It's more, dragging on kind of thing. But at the actual track versus going to an actual football match, which I guess I can relate to from an Australian football point of view, and it's quite a different sport, but still, the amount added from that, the event as a whole is a lot bigger, and I think it's just that freedom. I was just thinking about how you can walk around the track where you want to, like watch at different points. You're not stuck in a grandstand in one seat. It's different venues, and like you said, the ability to walk past different teams, and there'll be different stalls up for different companies advertising certain things, and general, just lots of different things going on at the event. And there's always racing going on. There's always that kind of ambience of cars flying around, and there's always people hurrying up and down, and there's someone celebrating over there on the podium, and people getting their cars ready before the start of a race. There's always, it's a busy kind of feeling, but in a good way. And that ability to kind of walk where you want to walk and I feel, you feel like you're always inside of it, whereas I feel like you don't feel like a spectator in some ways. Whereas I feel like maybe if you're watching a football match, you do very much feel like it's great when you get especially a close up seat, you feel like you can see it much better, but that's all it is. It's not, you're not actually in the game. Whereas it feels like in motorsport, because there's so much of the sport that happens almost off the racetrack, as I was saying earlier, you do feel part of it. You see drivers walk past and things like that. It makes you feel special, I think, in a different way. And as a result, I think you want to stay because there's always something different going on.
They're obviously very different sports and scenarios, but there's no doubt that you definitely feel much more submerged into the experience because you have these abilities as you're describing there. There's no doubt about it. I suppose it's one of the reasons why a lot of these other sports are coming up with all sorts of things that they're putting on events before and half times and all that kind of stuff. But it's very hard to replicate the fact that between races you can go down, you can walk around and have a chat with the race. You can never imagine a situation where in half time you can talk to one of the players in a football game. It's just practically it's never going to happen. It's impossible. And I know there are some limited opportunities to perhaps speak to footballers after a game in sort of the VIP lounges and areas and all that kind of stuff. But for most people, you just can't get access to it. But you can in motorsport. You really can. So you have this sense that you connect with people on a much deeper level, which I think it's wonderful, and it makes you much more connected feeling as a sponsor as well,
Yeah. Again, I think it's something that I perhaps undervalued at first because it was so day to day for me. We do 20 test days plus before the start of the season. It's just part of your life. You don't even realize it. You kind of, again, take it for granted. But I do still have that memory, and there are moments when I go, this is fantastic, and I really enjoy and things like that. I mean, even yesterday when I was at the track, unfortunately, we were just, when you're driving and you're just busy the whole time, as I was saying, you'll find ways to keep yourself busy. For example, if you're at the track, I'd be talking to you, but if you're not, I've got something else that I've got to do. I've got to talk to somebody. I've got to maybe work something out with the car. I've got to just chill out. It's important to get some time to relax so that you can come back into the car fully focused and refreshed and that. But I was still interested in some of the other cars that were there. Like, oh, that sounds good. That looks interesting. What's going on there? Oh, that driver's moved to that team in that series and things like that. So there's always, obviously for me, it's a bit different because I'm coming in as somebody who's a seasoned fan almost and very much in the sport, involved in it. But I've always got that fan aspect still going on. I'm still excited to see things, and this stuff I want to go look at the racetrack. So I still get that same draw. It's just a bit, I guess I'm coming from a slightly different perspective, but I 100% still get that same feeling.
It's always going to be different perspective from you because you're one of the guys that you look at things very differently. So, but no, it's great stuff. It's wonderful stuff. We're loving it involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been running for an hour now, Brian. So
yeah, I think
we've done a good job once again.
Yeah, we can talk for days and days.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as a positive, but we haven't. Fortunately, we're putting time limits on things. Otherwise, it could get a bit, where's the daylight gone kind of thing. But once again, it's been a pleasure, and it's been interesting. Like I said at the start, I think it's been educational for me to hear your perspective, which, again, in COVID times, is sometimes hard to do. And we've both been quite busy recently, so it's good to get this time to speak to each other directly without any outside distractions or anything like that, and really get a better understanding of what you've been getting out of me and I've been getting out of you. And again, thanks, Brian, because it's been a pleasure, and it's always great talking to you.
Anytime. I just want to finish up by saying that anyone who's got any interest, even thinking about having an interest in joining Bart or sponsoring, please go and follow Bart. The website's been in a ticker now for about an hour. Go and follow him on there. He's very active on Instagram and all, Facebook and all these social media. So even if you just want to follow and watch, it's very exciting and great stuff to watch. So please go and give Bart a follow. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Bart, for your time, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be racing soon enough, so be sure to tune in come May 22nd.
Absolutely.